Hello, welcome to Personal Finance 101. This is a class I've taught at Mid-Atlantic Christian University a few years ago, and it was based on a book I had written at the time called The Love of Money, How to Build Wealth and Not Be Corrupted. It was biblically based, and we focused on helping people understand how to move forward with their finances because most of the students were college students who had not yet experienced what we call real life. Many of you on this call today and who are watching this recorded version, you know all too well about real life, and you don't need any type of speculative information. You want fact, you want truth, and you want to know how to achieve true financial freedom. So the Financial Leadership Academy is an organization designed specifically to do this and to share competent, reliable, and timely financial information with you in a way that will affect, impact, and empower your real life to move forward to accomplish the goals that you have desired and not goals that someone else wants to push upon you. My name is Rodney Balance, and I'm thankful, honored, and just excited to be with you today to share this information, to give you a little bit of knowledge, background about who I am and why I'm even having this class. I've been very successful in the financial services industry. In fact, I was the #1 producer for a large financial company. We owned our own bank, investment firm, and insurance company for the entire country. I was the #1 representative for this organization in 2007 and made a lot of money over the last 20 years placing products, serving these companies or this particular company, and just placing financial tools. I've been able to gain a lot of understanding about financial tools over the last couple decades, and what I've gained most has not come from a classroom, but from very wealthy people who have allowed me into these circles and allowed me to understand and learn what most people never have access to. I often tell people that the greatest knowledge I've gained was from just listening to and watching these people with their money and understanding how they use their money, how they view their money, how they multiply their money, really set things apart for me early in my career as I saw the difference between how average people viewed money and dealt with money and those who had great amounts of it did. So in this course, this 6-session course, I'm going to share with you the secrets from inside the industry and from some of the wealthiest people you would ever want to know, and let you understand the difference between how we're supposed to think about money based on what they want us to do with that money and how they use their money. I've outlined a lot of this in my latest book, The 7 Indisputable Laws of Financial Leadership. That's the book we're going to use for this course. We're going to go through it, and we're going to use parts of it to exemplify the message. I've actually taken some quotes out of the book and shared with you in different sequences and different sessions that really address the message that I want you to take away from this. Because I've left, I couldn't say that. I still have licenses, and I still have clients that I serve, and I'm grateful to do that. But for the most part, my life now, my financial life, my business life is training financial professionals to do things the right way, to work in a way that empowers the client and not in a way that makes them the most money from the company or makes the most money for the company. And by doing that, we've developed a network of financial professionals who are certified to work with you and to work with others like you who are called Certified Financial Leadership Advisors. These people are not in it for the money for themselves. They're in it to educate you. A lot of these folks have franchises for the Financial Leadership Academy to teach you more information and to take upon this class and to build upon this class with more workshops and knowledge and resources to help you. So let's get started with this class. The course objectives over this 6-week session are simple. We're not going to go overboard. I'm not going to get too crazy about things. We'll have other classes that will dive in depth into investing or other financial matters and topics and issues that you may be concerned about. How to maybe how to build your own mutual fund type portfolio or something. But for today, for the 6 sessions that we're going to be together here, the course objectives are these. I want you to understand how money really works. The people who understand how money really works make their money work hard for them so they don't have to work so hard for their money. I'm going to teach you how to turn the tables on the financial industry so that you're no longer looked at as just simply a source for them to draw more funds, for them to draw more profit, but you become the source of your own profit. We're going to turn the tables. I'm going to share wealth building and strategic planning strategies, theories, ideas, and topics with you that will give you and enable you to move beyond a survival or even a success mentality with your finances and do something significant. Actually build a legacy for future generations of your family. Stop surviving and start enjoying your life. Some topics we're going to discuss include who controls your money and why. Not only why, but how they get control of your money, when and where. You're going to be amazed in this particular session as we talk about who is plotting every minute to get their hands on the money you work so hard for. We're going to discuss the differences between budgets and balance sheets. We're going to teach you the difference between beneficial economics and detrimental economics. Financial tools that work for you and some that are sold to you that may actually be working against you. You're going to be amazed when we blow the door off of some of these retirement planning tools and you realize the damage it can do to your future, your retirement, if you follow the strategy the salespeople want you to follow. We're going to talk about truths regarding all kinds of financial tools, even in identity theft protection. Well, this is something we're going to dive deeply into. And debt. Is it just an ugly 4-letter word? We'll talk about that more later, too. So welcome to Session 1 of Personal Finance 101, Understanding Your Money and Who Wants to Get It From You. Now, some terms we're going to use in this class today include money management, financial leadership, data mining, predictive analytics, neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So if you're taking notes, which I'm sure some of you are, or you will in the recorded version, just make sure that these key terms are critical in understanding and sharing the message I'm about to deliver to you. First thing I want you to understand, though, and it's very important, is one size does not fit all. Just like the guy trying to squeeze into this little coat. Your situation is different financially from your neighbor, from your brother, your sister, your cousin, your mom, your dad, your children. Your situation is unique because of the experiences, the challenges, the failures, the successes, and the opportunities that have brought you where you are today. Not only that, but also your goals, desires, and objectives for your money set you apart from everybody else you know. Maybe you share some similar goals with others, but really, is your personal situation financially exactly the same as any other person you know? Of course not. So why then are we sold an idea that we should always do this and never do that because we are just like everyone else, the herd mentality? Why do we follow the herd mentality when we come to our finances? It's because we don't have any better information out there. Well, until now, anyway. So please understand that I want to learn your goals. I want you to identify what your true goals for your financial future are. And we're going to share information with you that will help you get there. And if you're ever dealing with a financial professional or listening to advice anywhere else that says, always do this or never do that, because that's what everybody does, the only thing you should always do is never listen to the people that say always and never. Now, as we move forward, I hope you'll keep that in mind as we talk about some other issues. Now, the very first law of the 7 indisputable laws of financial leadership is the law of access. People who have access to and control over their money will always prevail during challenging economic times. This is fact. It's been proven time and time again throughout history, and it's even documented in film. One movie I refer to often is the movie with Jimmy Stewart called It's a Wonderful Life. Many of you know this classic film. It's a beautifully done movie set back in the early 1900s. As Jimmy Stewart's character, George Bailey, who owns a savings and loan, and his brand new bride were on their way to their honeymoon, the taxi driver recognized what looked like a run on the bank. A line of people demanding money lined up outside the bank and couldn't get to their money. George Bailey immediately went to the savings and loan, found his own doors locked and in jeopardy of being shut down because they were not available to their customers. Well, they took their own money and gave a bit of what people needed to survive. You see, the people who were scrambling outside the bank, outside the savings and loan, in different places, they were scrambling to get pennies or nickels on the dollar because they did not have access to their money. If the bank closed, they had no access to cash to pay their bills, buy their medicine, or get food. So they were in jeopardy of their lifestyle being interrupted or possibly ended because of their inability to access cash when they needed it. So what happened was Jimmy Stewart's character, George Bailey, saved the savings and loan because he gave people enough to get by on until the bank could reopen. Now, George Bailey was called by Mr. Potter, the big wealthy man in town, the guy who owned everything and had just purchased the bank by giving them enough money to reopen in a week. He called George Bailey and said, "George, I understand you're having some trouble over there. Can I send some money over to you?" In essence, offering to purchase the bank, or the savings and loan. George, narrowly escaping danger himself, he said, "No, thank you. We've got it covered." But you've got to realize, and what I want you to take away from that story is, there were two people in town who had access to and control over their cash. They were the only two who prospered after this challenging event of the run on the bank. Everyone else were practicing what I call reactive approach to personal finance. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But remember this, the only person who can benefit from your money is the one who has access to it and control over it. And when you send that money to others, you give up complete control over that money, knowing that you can never spend, save, or invest that money again. If I were to send you a $100 bill right now, I'd give up complete control and future gains from that $100 bill, unless you loaned it back to me and I paid some type of fee or interest to have access to it again. That's how banks operate, but that's for another class. Now, what I've just described to you is money management. The people who were scrambling for pennies and nickels on the dollar, just getting enough to get by, just trying to survive, trying to buy medicine or food or pay the bills, these were folks who were reacting much like a thermometer does to the outside environment, issues of which they had absolutely no control. They were nothing more than just tumbleweeds in the wind, if you will, being controlled by the ones who actually did have access to money. This is how most of us operate our financial lives, continually reacting to issues beyond our control, having to borrow money to move beyond where we are today, to purchase a new automobile, to buy a new refrigerator, use a credit card, because that's still borrowing money. Even though you say, "I'm putting it on the card," you're borrowing money to buy something with which you have no funds to purchase it today. You're buying it and agreeing to pay for it later so that you can have immediate access to it now. This is a reactive approach to personal finance and what probably 99% of the world practices. And I want to share with you a different approach. I want to give you a better look into things. You see, the wealthy folks of the world practice what I call financial leadership, the proactive approach. They're the ones who set the environment. They set the temperature with the thermostat so they're comfortable. Everyone else has to adjust and react to the temperature at which they set it. The wealthy people of the world, the banks, the financial institutions, the investment firms, all of these organizations, even large corporations, create an environment in which we all have to operate, survive, and react in order to hopefully to make it to the next month. Now, I know I'm not sharing anything new with you here because you know that there are people who have access to money and can make their money multiply for them. And you know there are many of us who are struggling just to have enough money to make it to the end of the month. What you don't know is you either control your money or you will be controlled through your money or lack of it. You see, when you agree to purchase something now and pay for it later, you're setting yourself up for whatever whatever the lender has in store for you down the road. We're going to talk more about this later in a class that we talk specifically about debt. Today is not about debt. It's about your money and who controls it. So let me go back to the book just a minute, The 7 Indisputable Laws of Financial Leadership. On page 22, I have a quote here. We talk about companies spending hundreds of millions of dollars every year to learn what you are buying and why. Not just why, as I said earlier, but when and how. They want to know everything about you. Companies such as Visa and MasterCard collect data based on every purchase you make. And then they sell this information to companies and retailers so they can design attractive ways to persuade you to give them more of your money. Now, this is called data mining. And they call it mining because it's as valuable as gold, if not more. The ability to have information that causes people or causes you to understand how people act, react, and make adjustments. If you could understand how someone will react to something that you do today, how valuable is that to you? Well, as a retailer or as a company who depends on your actions to sell their products or services, it's more valuable than platinum or gold. So data mining is how they gather the knowledge, gather the information, gather your actions, your activities, so they can determine what made you make the decisions you made and why and where you made these decisions, so that they can predict how you will move forward in the future. That's called predictive analytics. Now, let me share with you a little bit more about this because I want to talk about a quote from a New York Times article where the interviewer was speaking to Andrew Pohl, a marketing expert for the Target Corporation. His quote in the book is, and from the New York Times article, says, Target, the company, excuse me, can buy data about everything you know, about everything about you. You know, I'm not going to read this whole quote to you from the book. You can read the book yourself. But they gather information about everything in your life. Have you ever received a survey from a company asking you about different things, about your household income, how many people live in your home, where you live, your income, all of these things? You know you have. You know what I'm talking about. They're gathering data. They're mining the data so that they can turn around and either use it to sell you something or to sell to others who will sell you something. There's an entire industry built upon this gathering of information and selling it. It's called NLP, and the whole message of predictive analytics, data mining, neuro-linguistic programming. It is so prevalent today in every step of our lives, but we don't know it. We don't recognize it. We don't see it because we're just existing and reacting to issues beyond our control. The puppeteers are moving the wires, and we're just doing what they're telling us to do without even knowing it. You see, I want you to look at in the top left-hand corner of this screen. It says, leverage your customers' data to increase profitability. That's an actual brochure by a company that sells this type of information, then trains their marketing experts to understand your information and how to translate that into profit for the companies. There are universities who teach master's degree program, Master of Science in Predictive Analytics. All kinds of programs out there about mind control, understanding predictive analytics, and power of predictive analytics. It all goes down to, and then they boil it down from gathering your data to predictive analytics, predicting what you're going to do based on what they've learned, to neuro-linguistic programming. Now, I've copied a couple of advertisements I've received over the last several months inviting me to classes as a financial advisor to attend these classes on neuro-linguistic programming. NLP is the key. Dramatically increase your unsolicited referrals. In other words, how do I cause you not just to sell you, but for you to tell me who else I need to sell? So you line your friends up to come and buy from me because I know what causes them to buy. Another one says, gain instant trust and long-term loyalty through neuro-linguistic programming. Folks, when you understand why people think the way they do, how they think, and what makes them think the way they do, that is such powerful information that it used to be called brainwashing. Now, to be politically correct, it's called neuro-linguistic programming. And it means how others cause you to think and act in a way that benefits them, predominantly financially. And that's what we're going to talk about here just a little bit as we discuss why we do the things we do, who wants our money, and how they get it from us. Remember, the law number one is whoever has access to and control over your money is the only one that can benefit from it. My desire is to help you retain as much of it as possible, and you do that by identifying the others who are trying to get to it and how they're trying to get to it. So if we look at the right-hand circle here, it says neuro. This is talking about your thinking, your process, predominantly about the emotions that cause you to do the things you do, because we act on emotion. 85% or more of the purchases we make are based on our emotion, and then we try to justify it with practicality. But really, the emotion drives us to do the things we do. So neuro-linguistic, or neuro, is simply the state of mind. What's in your mind, in your heart, as we say, what's causing you to make the decisions you make, and what drives you to do that. Linguistic, that's the key words that are the catalyst to your emotion. For example, if you're very angry about something, and you just decide, okay, I'm going to do something, I want to do something about this, but I don't have the opportunity. Well, then whatever you're angry at walks in front of you. Now you have the opportunity, and all it would take is a catalyst for you to take action and possibly cause a problem. So if you'll think about it as the flame in front of a gas leak causes the explosion. The gas leak is the driving force behind the explosion. The flame or the striking match is the catalyst that causes the explosion. And as we talk about this, we understand now, they understand our thinking, how we think, why we think what we do, and what causes us, that stirs us to think the way we do. And then they understand the keywords because of the surveys that we fill out, the information that's gathered in the data mining process, and that causes them to understand the keywords that causes us to act on those emotions. And then all they have to do is figure out the programming, which means our behavior. Now, if they calculate effectively the emotion, the keyword, and put you in front of the phone number, the website, or direct you to the store that causes you to take action with that keyword, now you're acting on your emotion with the keyword that benefits them in the location that they desire for their desired results. That's really what neuro-linguistic programming is. This is a very simplified version, but I just wanted you to understand that it's all about how we think, and when they get into our heads, they can get into our wallets. Now, this is a little drawing here that explains a little bit more about the process. On the left-hand side of your screen, you see a little target. It says desired outcome. Now, the first thing these companies, organizations do is they desire what they mark down what they want to happen. In other words, I've got this widget to sell. Okay. Now, I've got to figure out how Johnny will end up buying it, but my desired outcome is to sell Johnny this widget. So they figure out, based on the data they've received, the belief system. What emotions, what things whether it's politics or ethics or faith or whatever it is, how can I connect with Johnny's emotions most effectively? And then I have to decide, okay, well, now what method of communication am I going to use? A lot of folks love programs because of the entertainers who are on the programs. They have a connection with them, whether it be Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, or maybe some of the progressive programs that they watch. They connect with the entertainers because of the charisma, because they feel like there's a connection with the person. Now, these people are the ones that are planting the emotions inside of us. Then we move to the middle state. Okay, so now the trigger is there, the emotions are stirred up because of the delivery system, and then the behavior acts in the way to provide the desired results for the person who has spent all the money on programming. Okay, so they have spent millions of dollars to obtain our data. They've spent more money on research of how to use that data to cause us to act the way they want us to, and to do it in the way that benefits them. Then they spend more money to sponsor the programs that you connect with, and use those people, whether it be Fred Thompson selling reverse mortgages, or the Fonz, or some of the folks I've just mentioned a while ago, because they know that you can connect with these people and that the message they deliver stirs the emotion that drives the desire for you to achieve what they want you to do. And all sharing the message that benefits the sponsors. Not you, but the sponsors. And who are the sponsors? Well, it depends on what program which you're listening, but most all of these things, at least the ones we're talking about, they're mortgage lenders, they're identity theft companies, they're insurance companies, gold and silver companies, banks, investment firms. Folks, as we go through this class over this 6-week period or this 6-session period, I'm going to unveil so much to you, but you have to understand this basic stuff first. To understand that there are billions of dollars spent every year to determine why you do the things you do, where you do them, and how, and then to get the people who can connect with you to convince you to do the things that these companies want you to do. Now, as we look at this picture here, you can imagine the wealth that has been amassed in these organizations and how much money they spend. If I'm going to spend millions of dollars to convince you to send me your money, don't you think that money is going to be more advantageous for me than it is for you? So let me ask you, who do you think should control your money? You, the one who worked hard to earn it, or the advertiser who spent millions to trick you out of it? I love this little magazine cover here of American Banker, and it speaks volumes. But my friends, when you realize that we are being marketed to on everything we see, everything we hear, we learn through 3 different ways. We learn through audio, through visual, and kinetic. Audio, naturally, you're listening, okay? Some people learn better by listening. Some people learn better by seeing. That's the visual part of it. Others have to feel it. That's kinesthetic. Kinesthetic, it means that you've learned because it stirred up some emotion inside of you, or you've touched something, you've smelled something, you've seen something, you've heard something. You have absolutely experienced something that you've learned from. These are the 3 ways that everyone learns, some better in one area than another. So they spend millions upon billions of dollars every year to get your attention through these means, using mouthpieces and spokespeople that connect with you to deliver a message that benefits them. Now, I'm going to challenge you over this next week. I want you to really focus on what I'm saying here. Over this next week, I want you to really listen to advertisements, but I want you to not just listen to the advertisements, the obvious commercials. I want you to listen to the messages within the message. I want you to listen to the people on the radio and the television with whom you really connect. And if they say things like, I personally use this, or I personally use that, understand that they're saying this having my own radio show, I know we're paid to say the things we're paid to say. We say the things we're paid to say. It's easy for me to say, right? So we say the things we're paid to say, and if we can roll it into the program and not in one of the fixed 30-second spots, it is connected more with the listener than the regular 30-second spots. That's why we're paid more for those endorsements. And I want you to clearly listen to the messages within the message this coming week, and I want you to write down or just make a note of what you're hearing. You will be amazed at the number of advertisements. For example, just as an example, I want you to listen to the number of term life insurance policy commercials you hear and ask yourself, why in the world are they trying to sell me so much term life insurance? Now, I'm not. There are no better life insurance policies than another. I'm just going to say that right now. There are no bad financial tools, just some that are used for the proper job at the right time. But just listen to all the term life insurance policy commercials you hear over the next week and ask yourself, really analyze it. Say, well, why would they be spending all this money to get me to buy a $15 a month term policy? That can't be much money for them. Well, when you really think about it, and you think about why a life insurance policy or life insurance company would want you to buy a 20-year term life insurance policy if you're a 25-year-old person or a 30-year-old person, is because almost 100% of the premiums collected on that term life insurance policy are profit, because the company has absolutely no exposure to paying out a death claim at the end of the 20 years. Once that contract's up, they pocket all the money, and it's profit for them. They take your bodily fluids, they take your medical history, your job, your relationship, everything about you before they ever approve the policy. So they know, giving any unforeseen circumstances or emergencies or accidents naturally, that you're going to live beyond that 20 years. So they know if they invest a certain amount of money in advertising to get you to pay $15 a month, a million other people will do the same thing, and they never have to pay out any death claims or very little death claims at the end of that in that 20-year period. So think about the messages within the message and ask yourself these things. How would my actions benefit the sponsors? What is the true long-term benefit to me? And will the benefit to me be greater than to them? And you'll be amazed to see at most of the places you send your money today that the benefit for your money is actually greater to the one you're giving your money to than it is for you. Now, if you've got any questions about this particular class or the course in general, please send me an email and ask me your questions. And it's askrod@icontrolmymoney.org. Just simple. askrod@icontrolmymoney.org. Because I want you to teach you how to control your money. I truly believe that, folks, everyone deserves to understand how money works. Our society lacks education in the world of finance because it's controlled by the people who control the money. If they started teaching people at a young age how money works, guess what? They would not make as much money. So why is it that schools don't offer programs on true financial education? It's because the people with the money prevent that from occurring. The financial industry particularly prevents that from occurring. The one industry that could make sure that every student in the world had basic financial education and information and understanding is the one who prevents it from happening, because they're the ones who have the most to gain by our ignorance. My goal through sharing these free classes with you is to break the ignorance, turn the tables on the financial industry, and put the power of the money back into the hands that earned it. Pray that you'll share this information with everyone that you know. You'll share these free videos. You'll go to our Facebook page at Financial Leadership Academy. You'll like it. You'll share it with your friends. And help us as an organization correct the economic turmoil that's in the world today, one family at a time. Because each family who gains the understanding of this information will change their lives for generations to come. In the next session, we're going to talk about law number 2, save or invest. We're going to talk about debt, how banks make money, and we're going to go more in depth between the difference of beneficial economics and detrimental economics. So, friends, let me just thank you again for joining me today. If you're listening to the recorded version, please get with us on the live version next time. We do these every Wednesday, at 1 o'clock Central Time, and we invite you to be here next week for the live session, because I'm going to stop the recording now, and we're going to take some live questions and discuss these issues off the record that we're going to try to share with you in the future. So stick around. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll be right back to answer your questions.